How does the camera on the new S21 Ultra compare to last gen S20 Ultra? Me and my assistant spent the whole day on a frozen lake to test it for you. Let's start with 8K. It's a crazy resolution that you shouldn't be recording in because no one has 8K screens, and if you really need 8K, you shouldn't be recording on a phone. But for our purposes of comparing, it's a good test because it pushes both phones to the limits, and that's where the differences start to show. There seems to be a tiny white balance difference, with S20 being warmer and the S21 a bit cooler. There also seems to be higher shadows on the S21, with the bricks seeming brighter but also noisier, which is the result of digital processing. In this shot, the S21 Ultra shows a better dynamic range. It retains more information on the highlights around the sun and better contrast in the shadows. Another way to push the phone to their limits is recording 60 FPS, because that gives the sensor only half the time to collect light. This one is also in 4K 60, but now playing in real time. You can see the tiny difference in dynamic range, but to be honest, they both look amazing. Switching to 4K 30, we still see the higher contrast on the S21, similar to the results from before. One thing that surprised me here is how the S20 got a better focus on Nemo's face. And when it comes to capturing conversation from Nemo, they both do a great job. When it comes to optical zoom, the S21 has a new 10x lens, while the S20 had the old 5x, and the S21 now has in between 3x, which can be very useful for taking portraits. Stabilization works really well on both cameras. While walking and even running, you can get very usable footage without a gimbal. When it comes to the front-facing camera, the S20 does lift the shadows a bit, but both styles look fine. Important is that we get to destroy that leash and the subscribe button. Okay, let me show you slow motion because I love the results. When recording slow motion, the camera records in 1080. Both phones record in comparable quality, and that classy warm tone on the S20 and the punchier colors on the S21. Which one do you like more? In super slow motion, the resolution drops down to 720p, and here is where we can actually see a clear difference on how these two phones compare in terms of what the camera captures and how the processor interprets that image. Okay, last one. Let me show you how important it is to give enough time to the sensor. I love recording 60, but in nighttime, when there's so little light, recording in 30 FPS gives you double the time compared to 60. And the image looks much sharper and accurate. So this last low light comparison is in 4K 30. The differences are tiny and you have to zoom in really tight to find something. The S20 has higher saturation as seen on the light reflection. On the other side, the S21 has a bit sharper edges. In my opinion, both cameras are the same, with a tiny advantage on the S21 for the faster laser autofocus and the ability to shoot 60 FPS on all cameras. If you watched till the end, it means you enjoyed this video, so hit that subscribe button and I'll go pet Nemo now.